According to the Small Business Administration's Office of Advocacy, there are approximately 30.2 million small businesses across America, making up approximately 99.9% of the total U.S. economy. And for Mary Gaul, she's dedicated a large part of her life to ensuring that the backbone of our economy remains successful. She's the owner of Success Magnified, where she works with sole entrepreneurs and small business owners to get their ideas out of their head, off of paper, and into action. She says the key to success in small business is developing a focused and detailed action plan to keep you accountable. She joined me this week to discuss the state of small business in America and how she loves helping business owners realize their dreams. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. With March being International Women's History Month, I asked Gaul to begin her remarks by reflecting upon what the occasion means for her, the impact that women have had in her life, and the trail she's hoping to blaze for other young entrepreneurs.
Yes, thank you for asking that. And I'm delighted to be celebrating Women's History Month because we've had some amazing women that have led the path for me. On March 8th, on International Women's Day, I did a celebration. I'm an ambassador for a group, nonprofit that helps women start their own businesses in third world countries. So they can start their own business whether they know how to count or know how to read or write, and they help them really start their own business so they can take charge of their life. So I did a presentation on the women in my life, and it was just a fascinating history to put together, just 4 generations back of what my great grandmother's options were as women, and my grandmother's options, and my mom's options as a woman, my options as a woman. And I've written books, and I get to travel, and I get to, when my mom went to college, she was lucky enough to go to college after being born in the Depression and raised on a farm. But her options were teacher, nurse, or secretary. Really, that's what her options were. And my options, I feel like, are wide open. And I have 2 daughters, age 24 and 21, and their options are limited to what they choose to do, really. The effort that they want to put in. There are still some boundaries that women have to face, but when you look back generationally at the progress that we've made and the options that we now have as women, it's just amazing, and it's such a powerful thing to reflect on and to keep the momentum going.
Absolutely, and I know that you're leading by example with all of the great business work that you do to help businesses sort of get their ideas out there, out of their head, on paper, and into action. So I'm
Yes.
curious to get your thoughts on your business mission and how you help people.
Yes, I love the power of entrepreneurship. I know that it can change lives and it changes your communities. When you look at the numbers of what small business does for a local community, they pay taxes. Small business owners generally support local charities and school events, community events. They're paying taxes. They're hiring people in the local communities. So I'm all about building a stronger community for everyone, right? And so small business, I believe, is the answer to doing that. And entrepreneurship is how you build a small business, right? And I love being part of the Spark or the energy of seeing an idea in somebody's head, having them articulate that idea, and then turn it into a product or service that helps another person. It's just part of what I love about what I do. It gives me goosebumps just even saying that, because it's so exciting to see that process happen. And then knowing that that person now has the freedom to run their own business. And believe me, it's not easy being an entrepreneur. There are lots of challenges, lots of days where you're just like, I just want to go get a job. But when you do become an entrepreneur and you're able to live in your giftedness and share that with others through the service that you provide, it's just a wonderful thing.
And I know a large part of your work is helping people create business accountability and sustainability. So I'm wondering your keys to how to get that done.
Yes, yeah, it really is. There's lots of ways to have accountability, right? I use very different methods within my business depending on the project that I have to work on. So, like as I mentioned before, I've written a couple of books. And so my accountability for both books was the party. So I started with, go back to the start with the end in mind. So I planned the book launch party, and then I kind of worked my way back to know, okay, if I have to have the book at the book launch party, I need to have it to the publisher, to the printer by this time, to the editor by this time. I need to be finished with my final draft by this time. So I use the party as my accountability to keep me going, because I told people about the party, and I didn't want to show up to my book party without my book. So it really did help me be accountable. So you can use events as accountability. You can have an accountability partner, which I have an accountability partner, and they're amazing when you find the right one and you actually check in with each other each week to say, okay, this is what I'm working on. You know what each other's bigger goals are, so that you know if you start to get off track, you can call each other on that. I do that. You can do that with a buddy or a partner. Sometimes it's better to pay like an accountability coach like myself, because I'm more vested in your success. Not that accountability partner that you would find in a networking group or something isn't, but it's just harder to maintain that excitement or that level of commitment sometimes when you just do it with a friend or a buddy. But it's certainly, that's a great way to do it. You can also use social media as an accountability tool, right? So just posting something on, letting somebody else know what you're up to in your business is always a good motivator, because then, on social media, sometimes things can get lost and you can kind of retreat back and not actually accomplish your goal that you set out for yourself. But it's better than nothing. Not if you just set a goal and you don't tell anybody about it, it's harder to stay motivated on those days when you're just like, I'm distracted, or there's something else, a new shiny object I want to work on, so I'm going to let that one go, and nobody knows I was working on it anyway. So with entrepreneurs, there's always lots of things going around that we want to work on or that we see other people doing, and we get distracted. So having an accountability partner can help rein you in and keep you on task to reaching your goals.
That's why we hire people like you to keep us focused, right?
Yes, yes.
So, and you mentioned your books a couple of times. So let's dive into those in terms of the lessons you were hoping to teach, and tell me about your passion for writing and sharing the lessons that you've learned.
Yes, yeah. So I have them here. So I've written the first one I wrote kind of as a challenge. I have a brain that kind of works on systems and finding a way to make things happen that makes it easier, right? For people or for myself. So I wrote the first book. It's called The Guests Are Here, and it's about how to throw a dinner party. Again, that sense of community. So how to bring people into your home and be able to enjoy the evening and not be able to spend the whole time in the kitchen. So you can plan ahead. There's some menus there, some ways to set the table so that you can do all that stuff ahead and really enjoy your guests and be able to enjoy the connection that you're making with other people. Again, that was written 2014, so way pre-COVID, but hopefully we'll be able to have dinner parties in our home again soon and have people over and make that connection. Because I do believe that there is a real connection that happens when you share a meal with somebody, whether it's a stranger or your friends. It just is a great way to connect with people on a deeper level. And the second book I wrote is for business owners, and it's called Vitamin C3 for Business. And it's 52 ideas to connect, contribute, and celebrate your way to success. So it's really about simple tips, like I said, my brain is all about how can we make things simple and easy. So ideas to connect not only to your clients and to your network, but also to connect to why you are in business in the first place, really to connect to why you're doing this business. And then contribute. We all, I think, want to contribute to each other. And so it's a natural uh, 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 gift that we have, that we want to share our knowledge with each other. So there's tips in here about how to share your knowledge through your business or through a network, whatever that looks like. And then celebrate. As entrepreneurs, like I said, there's always the next thing, the next thing. We're working on this. Our to-do list is ever growing. We don't take time enough to celebrate what's gone right in our business. And the fact that we're in business another year, especially after the year we've just been through, right? It's really important to celebrate all of those little wins and the big wins in your business. So that's what that book is about.
Fantastic, Mary. And if people want to buy the book, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, both
The
books
book.
are on Amazon. You can look them up by the title, or you can look them up under my name, Mary Gaul, and you can just order them on Amazon.
Fantastic. And I'm also curious to ask you about business diversification for small business in a general term, and also under the lens of infusing individuals with disabilities. As you know, I have cerebral palsy, and I
Mhm.
know that you have a personal connection with that as well. So I'm curious to get your thoughts on business diversification generally, and infusing individuals with disabilities into the workforce.
Yes. So I work typically with solopreneurs. I don't work with companies that have like a whole, staff. Primarily, I work with small business owners. Maybe they have 3 or 4 people coming in. But one of the things that I love to teach people is what are their, we call it pinnacle gifts. So that every person on the planet has some gift that they're here to share. I firmly believe that. So how can we tap into that gift, no matter what their abilities are, and how can we build a business around that or help them bring that to the business that they're working in as an employee. So it's really important to go back to what are your natural gifts and abilities. Like I've mentioned a couple of times, my brain works in systems, right? So I look for ways to make things simpler. That's a gift that I have. Not everybody thinks that way. So I can bring that to my business because that's something that I do that's unique. And I've done that my whole life. So that builds part of my story. So I think no matter what your abilities are, is finding what you're good at, whether it be math or problem solving or science or talking to people about sports. You found a passion in your life and you found a way to bring it into a business. So whether that's podcasting, however you can bring your business to life or bring those skills to life through a business, there's people out there that need to hear that message. So that's kind of what I do to help people find what they're passionate about, what their natural gifts are, and then really find a business that matches those, that allows them to bring those gifts to the world and give them to others.
And Mary, tell me, once you develop an action plan for a small business, can you just dive a little bit deeper on how to hold them accountable, and how holding people accountable can result in sustainable results?
Yes, yes. So I have a couple of ways that I do it personally. So I have my one-on-one accountability coaching. So that's me checking in with you. We do a strategy session at the beginning to figure out where you want to be. And I do it in either 90 days or 6-month chunks of time. And we say, where do you want to be at the end of 90 days, right? What do you want to launch a business? Are you writing a book? What are you working on? And then we break that down into weekly tasks. And then every week you're checking in with me to say, I got this done or I didn't get this done. If you say you didn't get it done a couple weeks in a row, I'm going to start getting, wagging my mom finger at you and saying, okay, what's going on? How come you're not moving this project forward? And then I also do it in a group version. So with female entrepreneurs, I run masterminds. They're called peer advisory boards. And so we meet once a month and everybody gets to bring their topics so they can brainstorm with each other and get to learn from each other's mistakes and hopefully skip those mistakes as they go forward and contribute their knowledge. And then they also get to bring up an issue that they're dealing with in their own business. So we're learning from each other. And then we have goals that we write for the next 30 days, and they get matched up with an accountability partner to check in with and say, okay, how are you doing on these goals? Then we come back the next month and we celebrate, again, connect, contribute, and celebrate, right? So we celebrate, what did they get done? What were their wins and successes? And then what's the next thing they're working on for the next 30 days? So we do that in the group setting. So you can find a mastermind group near you. I call them peer advisory boards, but there's lots of those out there. And then the other ways I do it are just, if I do a strategy day with a client, then it's just a matter of following up and saying, okay, what are your 30, 60, 90-day goals? And then breaking them down so they're not overwhelming, and then really checking back in with somebody. So whether that's you've built a list in Excel and you're checking things off, or you've written a handwritten note and you like to scratch things off the list, right? People like to do that different ways. But really, if you see the list, the task list, and you set deadlines, using your calendar is an amazing way to, like I said, with the books, I plan the party first. So plan something fun, and then that helps you get to that goal in the long run. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. And I'm also curious to know, what's the best part of your job for you?
It's really the fact that I get to encourage and be inspired by so many different entrepreneurs. I just love the variety of businesses and the way people are able to use their gifts to create a business. Like I said at the beginning, when you see somebody take the spark of an idea and it's part of a conversation, and then they turn it into a business that serves other people, that's just such a magical thing to be a part of. And I absolutely love it. And I love being a part of a lot of different businesses without having to own a lot of different businesses, right? So I get to have my fingers in a lot of different pies in different areas of their business to support these entrepreneurs, and then not have to, worry about making payroll at the end of the night for each one of them. So it's kind of a fun
Absolutely. You get
win-win.
to have all the fun by helping people figure out their own problems without taking them home at night. So
Exactly.
congratulations with that.
Exactly. Yes.
And Mary, I'm also curious to ask you, how do you think we get more women involved in entrepreneurship, and young people in particular involved in the art form of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think it's easier than ever. Like I said, when looking back on the history of what it takes to start a business, or the options of starting your own business, my mom didn't have those options really when she was growing up in the 50s and 60s, or when she got married as a young woman. So now it's relatively easy to start your own business, whether it's, an arts and crafts store on Etsy, or setting up your own store on Shopify. There's so many tech tools out there that make it really easy to start selling things online, right? But if you want to have a service-based business, it's still relatively easy to start a business. Go to your Secretary of State in the United States, go to your, Secretary of State of your state, register with them that you want to have a business license, and you're pretty much ready to go, right? So, there's a lot more steps than that, but it's relatively low cost to start a business, typically a service-based business, where you're not having to buy inventory and have a storefront and that kind of thing. So I think the ease of jumping into something and the variety of things that you can do now, people are used to shopping online, so there's a lot of options there for young people in general. But as women, I think they have a lot more options, especially as we've noticed with the coronavirus, that really hit the women demographic, working women, really hard. I heard in the United States, like 2.4 million women left their jobs last year because they had to be home when the kids were being homeschooled, right? So that really hits the workforce hard. And those women now have all these skills that they've developed in the corporate world. They may or may not be able to go back to their jobs, once this pandemic is sorted out. So what do they do now? How do they take that skill set and what do they do with it? So there's lots of information about how to start a service-based business or work from home, which kind of gets them that little taste of freedom. to being their own boss a little bit, right? Even if you're working for somebody else, but you're working from home. I think a lot of people have experienced that over the last year, and it's going to have an impact on how many people start their own businesses going forward.
Absolutely, and as you know, small business is the backbone of any economy. So I'm also
Yes.
curious to get your thoughts on how you think the industry is going to get out of COVID, and how do we entice people to support small businesses?
Yes, yeah. I think COVID has had some benefits for some small businesses and some that it really hit hard, and they're going to have a hard time bouncing back. So a lot of my clients, I did have some clients who had brick and mortar businesses like hair salons and massage, places, and they had to be closed for the first 3 months of the pandemic, like no clients at all. So they had to find ways to keep themselves, earning some money. So, I had a hair salon and she decided to post some videos on how to trim your own hair during the first part of the pandemic. And she had some, products that she would sell in her salon. So she had to pivot and start selling those online so people could still get their favorite shampoo from her and stuff. So entrepreneurs will find a way to pivot, right? So I believe that entrepreneurship will, if you were an entrepreneur once and you got hit hard by this pandemic and you had to close your business, that belief in entrepreneurship is still there and you'll come back. So a lot of businesses had to pivot in different ways. I used to do all my coaching live and in person in the room with people, and now I do it all on Zoom, which has allowed me to have clients now coast to coast. I have people in New York and I have people in Washington. So, it's really been exciting for me. It's not quite the same feeling, but there's different ways we've been able to capture the magic of the collaboration over Zoom. And so I think, again, the technology tools make it easier for people to come back out of the pandemic, to shift and pivot their business if at all possible, knowing that, we could have another one of these in a couple of years. So how are they going to pivot their business so that they can keep it going, if something like this happens again?
Cheers to reinvention, huh?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and Nora, my follow-up question for you is I'm wondering if you've given any thought to your personal and professional legacy. How do you want that to be defined?
Yes. I do want to be remembered as somebody who inspired others. So whether that's through my book, through, the people I coach, the businesses I've built, who knows, hopefully I still have quite a bit of time left. I'm in my 50s now, mid 50s. So we're now empty nesters. So, the world is open to me now. I've got lots of things that I want to work on. So, yeah, I just want to be able to be remembered as somebody who helped others, who served others, and was an inspiration, and also somebody who inspired celebration. So really making sure that people take time to celebrate in their personal lives and in their business, to acknowledge the fact that they have done something, they've accomplished something, and that's worth celebrating.
Absolutely. And if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, they can go to my website, which is just www.successmagnified.com. And there's a link there. They can grab a 30-minute focus session with me. I'd be happy to talk to them about their business or their business ideas. And I'm on LinkedIn primarily. I have a Facebook page, but I don't go on there very often to interact. But if they want to connect with me on LinkedIn, it's just at Mary Gaul, or they can go to Success Magnified. They can find the business page there too.
Fantastic. Mary, I really want to thank you for your time this morning talking to me about business diversification and small businesses, and for being here this morning. It's most appreciated.
Yes, thank you so much, Kevin. I'm delighted to be on your show today.